Alright, I'm just gonna be super, super candid. I don't know why I started this just as I started a video, but I really struggle with the idea of hell, right? Because if we're gonna say that God would send, the rebellious 18-year-old kid who's been traumatized by his parents, who beat him and did horrible things to him as the parent is, reciting Bible verses, and that person hates God, and we're going to say that that kid goes to hell. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the monk who does his absolute best to live a sacrificial life, realizing that he's not good enough, and being as repentant as he's able to be without an understanding of Yahweh, Jesus, or anything about the Bible other than Christianity is a religion out there in the West. That man who's dedicated his life and has done more for the world and more for the kingdom than any Christian, not any Christian, but most Christians, that he also is damned. I have a problem with I actually don't know anything of Joyce Myers, but someone like a Joyce Myers who's had a horrible trauma story, and at 18, she gets run over by a car. I have a problem with forgiveness and your chance to be saved ending at death, as if God isn't bigger than death, his own creation. I have a problem with, not in a prideful way, but in the same way, if I were to take my little brother's car and crash it and wrap it around a tree, that my little brother would look to me and go, dude, why'd you do that to my car? Why'd you do that to me? Like, you gotta fix this. Like, you gotta, make this right. That, it's in the same way I look at salvation going, I was damned from birth. Like, salvation is this not like kind of not in a way that you owe it, but don't you kind of owe the opportunity to reach out? Don't you owe the chance? I struggle with the loving character of God in one hand and eternal damnation or annihilationism in the other. And yet God is omniscient, omnipresent. I don't know the other, but that God's all powerful, and yet not powerful enough to save the people that he wants from hell. Romans 9, I'm just going to pull it up. I was reading it today, and I just have issue. Paul's like, who are you, a human being, to talk back to God? Shall what is formed say to the one who formed it, why did you make me like this? Does not the potter have the right to make out of the same lump of clay for some pottery for special purposes and some for common use? What if God, although choosing to show his wrath and make his power known, bore with great patience the objects of his wrath, prepared for destruction? What if he did this to make the riches of his glory known to the objects of his mercy, whom he prepared in advance for glory? Even us, whom he also called not only from the Jews but also from the Gentile. Basically saying, to summarize that, who are you to think anything or have any sort of opinion? He is God. So if he created people just to without mercy, kill them and destroy them, just to make those who he's going to save enjoy and appreciate their salvation more, who are we to say anything? We are just clay to the potter. It doesn't help, honestly. The view of, well, God could kill everyone, save one, and he would be just and fair in doing so. No. I just can't agree. I just can't. At this moment, I can't. You can't ask me to violate everything that I know about God with this view of hell that does not represent the God that I know, the God that I have a relationship with, the God that I worship, the God that saved me, the God that sent himself to die for us. I can't reconcile what is it? Penal substitutionary atonement, substitutionary penal atonement, where we are. There's a great breakdown of this word. This is what modern church, for the most part, at least Protestants, would. Penal, punishment paid. Substitutionary being Jesus took our place in atonement, making one with God. So, humanity deserves death for sin to fulfill God's judgment, to fulfill God's justice. Substitutionary, penal substitutionary atonement. Substitutionary, Jesus Christ being sinless takes our place and receives the punishment we deserve. And atonement being that through this substitution, Jesus satisfied God's wrath, making reconciliation, atonement, restoration with God possible. How it works: God is the judge and he demands justice for sin. Humanity is guilty. Jesus steps in as the substitute, paying the legal debt by suffering the penalty in our place and satisfying God's justice. And believers, through faith, receive Christ's righteousness and are declared righteous. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, explain how this is justice to punish an innocent man, to punish innocent God. Like, it just doesn't make sense that God has this horrible, hateful, killer wrath. And it's like, you know what's going to make me feel better? What's going to, like, satisfy this? Is taking it out on myself, who has done nothing to deserve it. And then you guys will all get off, like, scot-free. As long as you believe that I did it, and that I, like, you know, evened out the balance, the ledgers, and that I actually did that for you, then you can actually receive the gift that I've given you. Like, I don't know. I do know that it's not making sense. The sense that the modern day church tries to make on this, specifically this line, just is not in line with the God that we preach, and it very well could be true that the God that we preach isn't really God, because if this is God, then we should stop saying so many things that we say. Like, we should stop, like, God can do all things, God wants to save everyone, God loves everyone, God, like, that is not the case. And if that's not the case, and that's the truth, and that's the truth, then, like, what do we have to say about it? We're just clay, yeah? But we should probably figure out the truth and preach the truth. I think where I'm really frustrated, this is my, like, I don't seem frustrated, but I'm frustrated, and hence I can't, it's almost like, it feels like most pastors don't even preach. It's more like this. People don't know what they believe, and it's hard to figure out what I believe. I think it comes down to that. People don't know what they believe, and yet they so confidently talk and speak and preach as if they do know what they believe, but it all is logically incoherent. And I'm trying to figure out what I believe, and I'm really struggling to have conversations with people that are open and don't immediately recoil at this kind of a conversation. Hence why I'm here, right? I don't know. I'm not here to say that I know. This is one of those videos that I'm like, man, I could totally regret posting this one day. And I could keep this in the vault. But I think that there's many others out there with similar thoughts. And I want to have open discussions about this. I'm not here to say I've come to a conclusion. I'm not here to say that I am firm in this belief and I will believe this way for the rest of my life and I will die on this hill. There's nuance to these conversations. You can't get the full thing from a 10 minutes and 40 seconds into a YouTube video. I feel like recently, like, I was telling my little brother this, because many of these questions I'm asking are what my little brother's opened up about of what's kept him from being Christian and believing in God. Many of these questions are things that initially led me away from God when I was in 7th grade, 8th grade, and started to have a brain, and be able to ask questions. And these were the things that led me away from my parents' belief and from the time I was in a private school. And I went way off the wayside and went wild. I mean, all sorts of craziness, words I'm not going to say here, but when I got to a point of like not wanting to exist anymore, God saved me when I was 17. And I had experienced miracles and I had seen things that were incomprehensible. That could only have been heaven meeting earth in the name of Jesus specifically. And so I'm 24 now. So that was, 8 years ago. And that can of worms has slowly opened a little bit, and then I have thrown it like deep down and gone like, no, God's real. I know, I've experienced and I've seen and I've tasted. But now I feel like it's been opened in a way that it's been begging to be dealt with, and now it just feels, like it's just been opened up in a way that just I can't close it. I can't put it back and like just go back to my prayer closet and sit with God. Honestly, like, relationship with God has been like it's been super tough for me to just like connect, for me to be grateful, for me to worship in any way, shape, or form, to be honest, by like, normal Christian standards. For me, I think worship deep inside right now has looked like, God, I'm unwilling to settle for anything less than the truth, and my pursuit of truth, and my pursuit of who you are is right now the only worship I have to muster up to, I could raise my hands and sing a song and it's not coming from my heart and it's not real. But this unrelenting drive to find answers, to know who God is, to understand His Word. This is the worship that I have. I have nothing else to give at the moment. So, I don't know. I'm really trying to understand. So anything you guys have, resources, whatever, man, I'd love to know. I'd love to have a conversation. But love you guys, and we will talk soon.